hello to any replayers. If you are a replayer, you can tap on the screen for hearts. You can follow me on Twitter at joannazarach, and you can also find me on Snapchat if you have questions. You can ask, and I will do my best to answer you. Any personal finance question, financial questions at all. So, for anyone joining live, hello, and welcome. Welcome to Money Matters. Twice a week, I do a Money Matters broadcast. I do one at 5 p.m. on Tuesdays and one at 5 p.m. on Fridays. These are all Central Time. So if you're new to me, my name is joannazarach, and I talk about money. Why? It's so funny. Every time there's a meeting that I have with a group of women, a networking group, and it's like in a couple weeks, and someone's like, asking for a topic, and the only thing I can think about is money, because I like talking about money. I don't mean like in a crazy, greedy way. I just really enjoy the concept of money. And I think we lack financial education, both in our schools, but also in our businesses. And I think a lot of people are making decisions when it comes to money that are really driven by what they hear in the media and what the messaging is. And like people can't part themselves with their money fast enough. So what I do in Money Habits, which is my daily broadcast at 10 a.m. Central Time, is I talk about developing better money habits. And it's actually like through a certain set of activities that you could do every day to manage your money. Lawrence. No, not on Lawrence. I don't think it's on Lawrence. I go to the Marianas on Ashland. The one, again, it's called Bucktown. It's like by Webster. I don't think I've been to the Marianas on Lawrence, but perhaps someone looks like me would be. Anyway, the Money Habits at 10 a.m., we talk about developing better money habits because it's something that people don't pay enough attention to, right? And so I encourage people, I just encourage people, I instruct people. I instruct people to pay attention to their money. Okay, but you earn Money Matters. So Money Matters is a broadcast I started doing this year. Hi. And the reason I started doing Money Matters is because I realized in my money habits, I talk about sort of the, at some point you realize you're talking about the same thing over and over, but it's a message that people need to hear because they're clearly not executing on it. And I'm also touching people in various aspects of life. I do one-on-one coaching locally where I sit down with people and I do their look at their personal financial situation and be like, it's not that bad or it's really bad, and help them develop a money plan. Why? Because everybody should have a plan for their money. If you don't have a plan for your money, it's just going to leave you. It's like anything else in life. So Money Matters came about because I wanted to get in depth on several topics. And I figured, well, not every topic's appropriate for everyone, so let me add a broadcast. So today, Money Matters is a Money Matters 202. And the reason I call it 202 is because it's a little bit more advanced. I feel like there's some things that... deferred compensation, right? That is a strategy that most people don't have access to, right? Like that's why Money Matters 202, tax diversification, is for people who are a little bit further advanced. Why? Because everyone wants to talk about it, but it's it doesn't apply to most people, right? So let's talk about tax diversification today. And what do I mean by that? And what are some ways in which what are some ways that are accessible to people to take advantage of tax diversification, and why should even think about it? So tax diversification, sort of in simplest terms, is sort of hedging against tax rates. And so tax rates, like death and taxes, right? Two things that are certain. And so, realize that taxes, just like money, are a made-up concept, right? So there are laws that regulate how much of the transactions that happen in our world, in our current world, that the government would like to have a share for. Why? Because they like to stole money. Oh, you must have misspelled it. I meant steal money without the government knowing about it. Well, it's like a government probably doesn't know about most of the money that gets stolen. That's why it's stolen. So, so tax diversification, stole money. I don't know what you mean by stole money. How would you stole money? I don't know. Not sure I understand your question. So, well, the government's there, and it actually provides quite a bit of purpose in our lives. And so part of it is when it comes to taxes, there are certain rates that are present today, right? And so the thing is that the tax rates are not permanent. They're not like this is the way that's always been. If you do a little bit of research and look at how low, and you look at sort of the tax rates of the past, you'll start to understand. I'm not sure that I can. Oh, look at that. I don't know. That's for me. And so, yeah, so tax diversification. Back to the topic at hand. Okay, because it's my broadcast. So diversification is it's just an idea that you are going to you can predict the future, right? So most people say, okay, you want to figure out if you're going to pay tax now or pay later, right? And a lot of the things that we talk about is retirement accounts that are either tax deferred or tax protected. And to most people, I'm sure, well, today's pretty cold actually, although it's not too bad. Be in Chicago in May, be in Chicago in summer, because the winter is still pretty miserable, even though it's only like 34 degrees. Today it's still miserable. Yeah, but I like Boston. I spent some time in Boston, so I actually like Boston. It's a lot warmer, and the snow I don't mind. Are you high? No. Well, I don't know why people are. What job do I do? Well, I do lots of jobs. No, actually, I'm trained to do, and what I do, I guess part-time. I'm a part-time management consultant, and I advise businesses, including corporations, on how to make more money. Hello, I'm from Sweden. And so, but in my spare time, I've decided to educate the rest of the world on money, or anybody who listens. So anyway, trying, but two consultants. I don't want Trump for president. I'm not crazy. Who wants Trump for president? The dude smokes too much crack. So, I love money. Anyway, tax diversification. So the idea is, who do I want for? Come on, let's all be socialists. I think Bernie's kicking ass and taking names. There's really no good candidates, people. So keep on topic. Tax diversification. Either you pay taxes. You pay taxes now, you pay taxes later. So the thing is that you're going to have to make some decisions around if you think you're going to be. Oh, I haven't seen the show, but I'll see. Oh, goodbye. And so there's a lot of people on here. Sorry if I'm blocking you. And so the idea of tax diversification, I don't mind. I've been on Periscope. You guys, I've been on Periscope since October. Like, trolls come out of nowhere. It's like people who have nothing better to do but wake up in the morning and be like, I'm gonna ruin somebody's day. And so yes. So I talk about money every day, guys. Every day at 10 a.m. And I know that's not in. A lot of people are at work, and they're like, "Oh, I'm at work." I'm like, "Yes, sucks to be you." But at 10 a.m. I do a money habits broadcast. Yeah, and then on Tuesdays and Fridays at 5 p.m. I talk about money matters. And so I do. I try to teach people about how money works. Yes. Finance, if you're in school for finance, first of all, you're going to understand what the people are, how money works. How money works in oh my God, it's a troll city today. How money works in the world, and how are you going to be able to keep more of it? So, okay. I am, how are you going to keep more of your money, right? And tax strategy is one of the most important things that you can pay attention to. So, okay, because we have a lot of people new to my broadcast. Yeah, so you need to start taking advantage of, you actually have to have a plan for your money, and the 5 things that really make a difference in building wealth. And so I'm going to list them because I have a lot of new people on, and we're going to take it to tax. So, income is the number one first. So the first thing you need to pay attention to is income. If you are in an industry that you see the income of people ahead of you and it's not going up, like you're not going to be able to build wealth on a low income. So you need to, first thing you need to solve for in life is income. So whether it's income for I do speak fast. Yes. So figure out what are your sources of income going to be throughout your lifetime. If you're just like, if you think that income comes from a salary that someone decides for you, hi from Russia, then you're not going to be able to sort of advance in life. You need to figure out how to bring value to the world and how you're going to capture some of my, some of the income. Yeah, sorry. And number two, so the first thing, if you have income solved, by the way, that's not all your problems. All your problems aren't solved because a lot of people who have very high income don't actually accumulate wealth. All they do is spend their money. And so just figuring out how to be of a higher value in our society and get more income doesn't build you wealth. So the second thing you need to start paying attention to, and again, my broadcasts are US-centric. Why? Because I'm familiar with the US. What you don't understand? You don't understand how income works. Taxation is number two. Number two is taxation. That's why, and everyone thinks like taxes is something that they shouldn't pay attention to. I'm telling you now that if you learn about taxes, money spending, yeah, you gotta rein it in. You gotta have bigger goals. Taxation. Start learning about how taxation works. That's gonna be a problem. It's all in English. Start understanding how taxation works. Like take an interest in it, right? Like if you want money, you need to start taking an interest in it. So start understanding how taxation works. And some of this broadcast is on tax diversification specifically. So number two. Number three is investments. You need to figure out how investing works because first you got to earn your money, then you're going to keep your money, then you're going to want to grow your money. And investments is a great way. It's the American way. Like if you're a capitalist and you're not participating in the stock market, then why are you even love the capitalist system? I love capitalism. I'm from socialist country, by the way. I'm an Eastern European descent. And so you need to learn about investment, right? And so figure out and don't just follow the stock market, become an investor. And you might say, oh, I want to have a lot of money. Like you can become an investor with a small amount. You just need to start having a vested interest in the stock market so that when you have money on the line, when you put in a mutual fund, when you open a 401k, and I don't do anything crazy, how much should you invest? You need to start taking, so people like do these like advice where like, oh, maybe you should like take 3 or 4% of your income. Hell no, 10% minimum, people, like 10% of your take home income minimum is what you should be investing. And really to accumulate wealth, you should be looking at 20, 30, or even more higher percentage. And so if you're like, oh, I can't afford to pay the bills, first of all, stop paying credit card interest. And I mean, stop paying credit cards. Like you don't want to default and go into bankruptcy, but I mean, stop relying on credit cards to supplement your lifestyle needs. You need to either lower your spending or to increase your income, like higher earnings. And then you need to start putting money away like you're crazy, 10, 20, 30%. So it depends what stage you're at. You know, if you're just like deciding that you want to be wealthy and you're just starting, like first of all, get your spending under control, pay off all your credit cards, figure out what outstanding loans you need to pay when, like if you have student loans, if you have a mortgage, if you have a car loan, figure that shit out. And then you need to like make a point to teach yourself investing, then start taking advantage of tax advantaged accounts. If you don't have cash flow, you need to take advantage of tax accounts because you're trying to build net worth, not just money to buy your next thing that you want. Anyway, so investing is number 3, and it's super important to just learn about investing, right? Be the Warren Buffett follower. Figure out how rich people make money, right? They don't make money off of like showing up and serving other people. They're like, hey, I have all this money. How should I make me more money, right? And if you're really looking, if you're just starting out, oh, you need to max it out. So I know people like, oh, put 3-4%. Like you need to max out all the tax available accounts because at some point you're going to be making so much money and you're like, shit, all I can put in is $18,000 tax free. I wish I could put more, and I wish I could go back, travel in time and put more money like when I was younger. So max it out. Max it out. Like, that should be your goal. If that's not an achievable goal, figure out how you get that goal. So $18,000, I think, is the 401k limit. See if you can open an IRA, see what your income, the lower your income, the more tax advantages you get. So the more disciplined, which is kind of backwards, like, but the more disciplined you can be at a lower income, the more tax favored accounts you can take advantage of, then the better. So start investing now. Your future self will thank you. You will congratulate yourself when you're 40, 45, 50, and you're like, hey, I'm sitting on, like, 7 figures. That's what it takes. So that's right. But that's the mindset, right? The mindset is, if you give your money a job other than buying you stuff or buying stuff for people that are around you, then if you're giving your money a job, which is investing, which is to make more money, then that's where you're going to start putting extra money. I don't know. Credit card is just a tool. So I have not ever paid interest on my credit card, because all I saw it was like a utility. It's just like, it's a cash flow control, right? Like, I spend a bunch of money, I only buy what I need, and I know exactly how much money I spent. I'm a conservative investor. Number 4, big purchases. I'm a conservative investor. I invest in mutual funds, so immediately diversified at 8 to 10% return. That's all I expect. I don't do any crazy investing. I'd like to do lending club as my alternative. I'm exploring other things, but it's your saving rate more than the rate of return that will determine how quickly you build wealth. Number 4 is big purchases. Big purchases are things that you are buying. Money has no mercy, no. But you can own, you can control it, you can take it back. Like, don't let money control you. You can control it. Like, you can do this. Big purchases. So people buy houses, people buy cars, people buy educations. For God's sake, education is like a $200,000 purchase that people are making at the age of 18, but they just borrowed their way into it. It's crazy. Healthcare is also a big purchase. Big purchases, anything that's over 10% of your income. And, like, for God's sake, a house usually like 2 or 3 times people's income. You need to start studying. Like, this is where I'm passionate about this topic. And you don't tell me to calm down. If I want to be angry about people's ignorance when it comes to money, I'm going to be angry. It's my job. Because if I wasn't passionate about this, I wouldn't be on here every single day talking about this and sharing my knowledge that I've built over the last 20 years with you guys. Like, people charge money for this. And actually, people steal money from other people to convince them that they're doing a better job than themselves. Because I feel like people accept this idea that being, like, poor and broke and being credit card debt is somehow normal. And it's like the financial industry is laughing at you. You guys don't know this? Financial industry is laughing at you all the way to their bank and to their yacht. But the thing is, though, you can do something about this. You can take something about your money situation. And because if you are powerless, if you feel powerless, it's because you've given up your power. And today, more than ever, there's more information out there, more tools, and more people willing to help you with nothing, with no strings attached, if you just listen. And then if you listen to people who are not trying to sell you things, but who are trying to educate you, and take that education. So before you make a big purchase, really understand what that big purchase entails. Like, people buy houses and then don't understand the transaction cost, they don't understand the maintenance cost, and they don't understand it's not an investment, it's a consumable. You consume the housing you live in. A car loses its value as soon as you drive it off the lot when you buy it new. And education's only as good as the potential of the future income you're going to get from that education investment. So before someone sells you on something and it's a large value, like, do your own research, right? Do your own research. Talk to someone else besides the salesperson making a commission on whatever it is they're selling you. No, seriously, talk to somebody else. Talk to your friends. I want more people to have money conversations. And I want more people to come into it with eyes wide open and says, you know what? I made the decision to trade my freedom and this for a big house. That's fine. I don't judge. You want a nice car? That's good to want. It's good to want things, right? But be eyes wide open and know what you're paying for and know what you're giving up in terms of your time and your income generating activity. And number 5 is risk. Like, if you're not protecting yourself against risks, so 4 was big purchases. Teachers, learn. It's all about educating yourself on those topics and then executing against them. And all I'm telling you is those 5 factors, like risk, because if you get sick, if you only depend on yourself, if you only depend on yourself for income, or your family depends on one person for your income, you're putting your family at risk. Because if you think you're going to be able to do what you're doing at the same level for the rest of your life, you don't know that you're going to be automated out of a job. You don't know that the driverless, Uber doesn't want drivers. Uber wants driverless cars. You don't know what your potential for your replacing your income will be. So you just want to mitigate those risks. And so we're back to tax diversification. Topic of the day was tax diversification, but I had a good new crew of people, and I said, you know what, let me share my wisdom with you. Because I want you to start learning about those 5 things and start making a plan for each one of them. And if you learn a little bit about each of them, like every year, and I'm telling you, you're going to build on your knowledge. And all of a sudden, you're going to start making different decisions. And what you're going to start seeing is your net worth grow. Okay, maybe like if you had $100,000 at your disposal and your only goal would be to spend it, then yeah, like you and I are having a different conversation. But powder milk. I don't know how to sell in China either. Like, yeah, they have some crazy stuff going on in China. I don't know. I don't do like weird, I don't know enough about that. Like, you have to find someone. Here's what I would recommend. Find anyone that sells anything to China and find out how they do it, right? Like, or find some Chinese people, for God's sake. They travel to China. Say, hey, can you take some powdered milk with you in your suitcase? I'm sure, there are like lots of different crazy ideas that probably work out for people. But what I'm saying is like, figure out what you want to do in life, do it well, make sure you know how money flows, and then learn about all these other things. Tax diversification, though, it's about, are you going to pay tax now or tax later? The bottom line in tax diversification is to like, you don't know what the future will hold in terms of like taxes. And all I advise people to do is to just like, if you have the advantage of doing Roth, like I'm just doing like simple, basic stuff. It seems simple to me, right? But like a Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA, Roth 401k or a traditional 401k. So what I want you to do is start thinking about it. How are you diversifying against the potential increase in taxes later? And by the way, all those tax deductions that you're getting for investments, like a 401k, you are going to have to pay taxes in the future. Pablo Escobar. I think that would be pretty cool, actually. That's a good goal. That's a good goal. You have to think big and dream big. Tax diversification. So again, like take your, think about if you have investments. That's why it's 202, because you've got to have money to invest. You've already got to have the mindset. So if you're an investor, I would say you're probably the right person to think about tax diversification is if you already paid off all your debts, especially personal interests like credit card debts that are like 20% interest. And you have, and then you have, there you go. And then you have, build up a nest egg so you have some discipline to start saving and investing and say maybe get to 6 figures net worth. And then you're like, okay, how is the future going to impact me? And you start thinking about taxes. Because that's when you realize the impact of taxes. The other place you realize the impact of taxes, if you're a small business owner or an independent contractor and you have to write those checks to the IRS versus just like, oh, look, I got a refund. There's no refund. There's no refund here. So I'm a business owner. And so I've been writing checks to the IRS for, many years now. And that's when you start thinking about tax, right? And you're like, oh, crap. First of all, how can I lower my tax bill today? Right? And again, legally. And if you're a business owner, you start saying, okay, how do I, what expenditures do I have? But also, like, what tax advantages can I take care of? Right? If you're a business owner, your health insurance is deductible off of your taxes, against your income, against your profits. Your contributions to an individual 401k plan, for example. If you're a solopreneur and you don't have an individual 401k, get one ASAP. And you don't have to find a banker or someone else to do it for you. You go to Vanguard.com. They have, again, you've got to learn. Like at least, like aim for 30, like aim for, like, I think 10% is like stage 2. I have 5 stages of wealth, and like stage 2 is when you're investing, like when you're keeping 10% of your income. Stage 3 is 20%, 30% would be like stage 4. And then stage 5 is when you're basically like when you're on your way, when you're comfortably living, when you're just like stop thinking about money, and it's because you don't have to worry about it, and you've created a sort of 7-figure net worth. That's stage 5, and because by that time you've solved a lot of the other pieces of the equation. See, because it's not like you do one and you're like, oh, how did I get here? How did I get to a 7-figure net worth? Like, it doesn't just happen, right? Like, my whole thing is that you gotta work it. You gotta make sure you understand the variables in the equation. And tax plays such a big role in it. So that's why tax diversification is gonna come into play when you are, when you're doing your money planning. So when you think of taxation, you have to start making decisions about, hey, do I deduct my individual 401k contribution? The government, yeah, but it's like, money's imaginary, right? And so the best you can do is participate in the system that's available to us today. And this all, like, with this idea that the future is bright and ahead of us, and we're all hopeful. Because if the Armageddon happens, like, make sure you have some, I call them, like, useful skills, right? Like, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, right? Learn a useful skill. But anyway, the bottom line is you need to figure out your tax diversification strategy. The best way to do it is to see if a Roth vehicle is going to be available to you, because that stuff can go tax-free and you can transfer that wealth to the next generation really easily, versus taking off some of the deductions today to get your hands, like, that's the thing, it's like, no matter how much money you have, at the end of the day, like, you still need to be useful to others, like, in case of an emergency, or you just, like, learn a few basic skills. Don't be afraid. Don't rely on one or two things to get you through life. That's why learning is really important. That's why learning about money is going to be super critical to you if you're interested in building wealth, right? This is accumulated wealth. This isn't winning the lottery. This isn't all about, giving the one big idea. It's about pursuing, whether it's a career or some occupation or something even that you're passionate about, but building wealth over time. It is achievable, right? This is why I teach it, because it's not like, oh, this is my special formula, sign up for my $5,000 class. It's going to tell you, it's going to give you the magic on how to make a 6-figure business. It's about, like, spend less than you earn, significantly less, and, like, figure out that equation, and then start putting money away. Take advantage of the tax laws available to you, because you're going to see that. You're going to see more money in your pocket. It's just like, it's not money for you to spend. It's more money for you to invest and to grow your wealth so that you can be more free. Because at the end of the day, all you're buying is time and options and buying freedom. So that's the idea. I know I didn't get as much covered in my tax diversification topic, and my half hour is up because I'm going to need to pick my kids up. And so, but start thinking about it. And I think so the time to start thinking about tax diversification, English. I've been living in the U.S. for like 25 years now. Yeah, so I went through the schooling. I went through a lot of schooling in the U.S. High school, college, grad school. I'm overeducated, and so I know a lot about the value of education, or lack thereof. And but the tax diversification. I really think that's, like, appropriate when you've covered a lot of other bases for you, but you do need to start learning about it. So that's why it's kind of a money matters to it too. I feel like people get overly concerned about things that I feel like, well, doesn't really apply to you because you haven't solved for these other 3 things. And so solve for income, solve for living below your means, and then make sure if you have any, so the first thing, like, about investing or growing up, if you are paying credit card interest, then no amount of investing will get you that amount of return. So that's always the first thing to do. Then sort of evaluate loans, create a plan out of it, but start dedicating, like, when you open an investment account and you have extra money, instead of going, oh, I could buy myself a nicer car, you can be like, hey, I can buy some stocks, or I can make this investment, or I can grow my mutual fund. And at first it's going to see, thanks. No, thanks. I appreciate your engagement. I do. I like when people engage with me and ask questions. And if I can just get you to do one thing, take one step towards controlling your money and learning about money, then I've succeeded. Like, that's like just to get you to go, maybe I should do something right. Maybe I should like have a mint.com account where I can actually see where all my money is coming and going. And maybe I should have a strategy or a plan for my money. And if you make a plan for your money and you execute on it, trust me, it's at first it seems small. Like, you're like, oh, and especially when market's going down, everyone's like, oh, why should I invest in the stock market right now? I'm like, it's the best time ever. Stocks are cheap. Like, I wouldn't buy, actually, I guess buy oil now is the cheapest ever. But, it's take advantage of it and think long term. And so if you just take one action, and like, even if it's one action a year, right? If you just start changing your mindset about money and start changing your actions around money, you will get there. And so eventually we'll get back to tax diversification. It's kind of a favorite topic. Putting it somewhere so the government don't find it. Yeah. And it's like that, but that's the thing, there's election year is here, so make choices around how you participate in election. I know it's not a greatest system, but it sure beats a lot of other ones. If you've ever lived anywhere else, and you've seen sort of how governments can operate somewhere else, or how they don't, how there's lawlessness, and how there is you could come to appreciate all that our government, yeah. All right, then, yeah. But so for me, the American government, that's what I mostly know, right? But coming from Poland, it's not as Netherlands, it's not so bad, not so bad in the Netherlands. I know, you guys have a lot of. In the Netherlands, I feel like it's a bit more advanced in some aspects, but I think taxes are a bigger problem for you guys because someone's got to pay for those programs, right? But there's a price. There's a price to pay for participating in any kind of society, and making sure people are taken care of, and whether it's healthcare, education, all these other things, and to make sure the people around you are thriving too. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, the Netherlands taxes. Oof. And so, but I accept the taxes. I'm just like, okay, well, here are the rules. How do you solve this problem? How do you solve this equation? So, thanks for the engagement. Thanks for participating. If you follow me, and you want to catch me some other time, I'm on here every single day. And then you can also follow me on Twitter, and you can find me on Snapchat, same handle, joannazarach. You have money questions that you think I can answer, I'm happy to answer them. And I'm happy to share my knowledge with anybody, and encourage anybody, by the way. I'm also trying to encourage more people. Thanks. I'm trying to encourage more people to have a money conversation amongst themselves, with their friends. Yeah, thank you. With their friends, with just other people, because I feel like money is giving people too much anxiety, and we just get too worried about it. And I don't want you to worry about money, but I do want you to think about money. Yeah, thank you for saying that. Like I said, I've been doing this every day since October 20th, and I get sometimes I get a lot of people, sometimes I don't get a lot of people, but I feel like it's an important message, and it's it's a calling at this point. Because again, I'm a management consultant. That's what I do for a living, but I don't do what I talk about for a living. I think this is just a passion, and that's what I've been doing myself, and I've educated myself, and I said, you know what? I don't think anybody else does what I do. Why don't I just share it? And Periscope's the greatest media for me because I love public speaking. I'm not afraid of the trolls. Actually, I'm going to be talking on a couple in a meetup in Chicago, I think next week, about Periscope, and in April, a small social media conference just about Periscope. So start paying attention to your money, make a money plan, learn about income, taxation, investments, big purchases and risks. Start learning more about those things and your way to build wealth. And I will see you guys tomorrow because I'm on every single day, 7 days a week, 10 a.m. I'm on here 10 a.m. Central Time, Chicago time, every single day. And then these later broadcasts, Money Matters, I do 5 p.m. on Tuesdays and Fridays, on a variety of topics. I have, I don't know that anybody ever goes on. I don't. I'm on catch.me. And again, follow me on Twitter and find me on Snapchat. Always happy to talk to you guys. Yeah, so if you can make it, great. If you can't, I'll be here Friday. So if you can catch me, I tend to talk about, I feel like I talk about the same things over and over because it's all money. But take care and thank you for participating. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.